Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic. George Carlin said, think of how stupid the average person is, and realize half of them are stupider than that. What real-life example have you seen that validates this view? There is a considerable overlap between the intelligence of the smartest bears and the dumbest tourists. Yosemite Park Ranger on why it's hard to design a bear-proof garbage can. I used to work in Banff National Park. One day at the end of the tour I was driving some guests back to their hotel, and a woman was adamant that Banff was clearly a very dangerous place to visit since we just let wild animals run around everywhere. They should be in cages. Had to fight the urge to throw her off the bus pretty hard. Some other gems that came up in the past include a guest insisting he needed to change money they got in BC to Alberta currency, not a real thing. A man arrived very irate that the entire Trans-Canada Highway was not lit with proper street lamps every 100 yards. That would be a stunning waste of energy, not to mention probably cost more than our national budget, and your car has lights on it. More than a few have grossly underestimated the distances involved in a country like Canada. No, you cannot drive from Calgary to Toronto and back in the same day for lunch at the CN Tower. No, you cannot drive from Calgary to Toronto and back in the same day for lunch at the CN Tower. Well, not legally, anyway. Edit. Wow, I wasn't expecting this much interest in my offhand joke. I'm actually planning to do this trip in a day with a dog sled team. Just for the challenge, you understand. I had a foreign exchange student from Holland stay at my house in BC. I asked him what he wanted to see while in Canada, and he asked if we could go check out Niagara Falls one afternoon. Crazy how some people just don't have a concept of how huge Canada is, I think, especially people from a country that you could drive across in 5 hours. I worked at a bank. Mobile depositing had just become a thing. We received a picture of someone's cash for deposit. Yay. CBRO, just wait like 2 hours and take another photo of the same cash and deposit it again. And again and again. Whoa. Instant money. Yeah, BRO, instant money. Fuck, we're gonna be so rich off this $84. You mean our $168 bucks? A woman I used to work with who insisted that any animal could reproduce with any other animal. She believed that sperm from any animal was the same and that DNA was irrelevant. She believed this because she once saw some sickly, possibly deformed puppies and decided that they must have been half dog and half rat. If she ever saw a centaur, she'd probably be buying lots of horse sperm. Ends up with a reverse centaur. Ah yes, rat terriers. The fact Florida had to tell people not to shoot at the hurricane. Even better, the fact that NOAA even has to have a section on their site explaining why using nuclear weapons against hurricanes is far worse than the worst idea you can possibly imagine. But at least nobody with actual access or the power to authorize the use of nuclear weapons would ever have an idea that blindingly stupid. One of my nieces had a cold as a toddler and was breathing through her mouth. My ex-BIL flipped out because he didn't want her to get carbon monoxide poisoning from breathing through her mouth instead of her nose, the normal way. I read things like this and start asking myself, why would anyone think this? How would this even work? And then I realize, this is the kind of stupid I don't want to understand. Yeah. I used to try and educate people like this, then I realized it's like playing chess with a pigeon. They'll just shit all over the board and strut around like they've won regardless. When my daughter was born, we had to see the hospital pediatrician before we could switch to our usual one. We're in a tiny exam room and he's going over the do's and don'ts for new parents. To precede this, he's an older southern man. And I assume she will be sleeping in a crib in the nursery. We have a bassinet set up beside the bed to make night feeding easier. She can't sleep with you. She won't be in the bed, she has a bassinet beside the bed. If she sleeps in the same room, there will be too much carbon dioxide and she'll suffocate. That's what causes SIDS. Then is this exam room unsafe? We put in a complaint with the practice and the hospital. That's some ridiculously incorrect information to be spouting off at people, especially parents who take everything a doctor says as gospel. I can't even find the logic in that. Not only this, but also co-sleeping in the same room is shown to reduce the incidence of SIDS. It is thought that the baby hears you breathing and it helps them self-regulate. On 9/11, the general manager called his daughter who was attending ASU to wake her up and make sure she saw what was going on. The customer service manager said, It won't be on her TV yet. Arizona is 2 hours behind us. Why didn't Australia warn us about 9/11s? After all, they are several hours ahead. Reminds me of a Facebook post that went, just found out China is like 12 hours in front of US. Why didn't they tell US about 9/11s? Fuck China, 3 billion people died. Not verbatim but close. I worked at Little Caesars and we were proofing the dough for pizza. My boss said, at 7 p.m., that the dough needed to rise for 12 hours, and took out her calculator to do the math. So I said that's gonna be 7 a.m. Then she said the dough will expire in 48 hours and started doing the math again. I told her it would expire 2 days from now, and she said that's kinda weird how that works out, huh? I quit shortly after that. The most surprising thing here for me is that Little Caesars bakes fresh dough. And actually bothers with a long leavening time. Sounds like she didn't know how to tell time. Surprised she knew how to use a calculator. Why would you quit? You could have tricked her into paying you double for working half the hours. Let's see. 7 plus 12 equals 19. But there's no 19 p.m. How would that work? Probably. I teach 6th grade. One time a parent came to me after trying to help their child with math homework and asked, "What number is X worth?" It feels like it changes with every problem. I don't know if this is satire or not, but good job. It is not. The parent came to me after school, without their child, because they knew something was wrong and didn't want to look stupid in front of their kid. This is filed in my brain of parent reactions I can't fathom. Along with the mom that year who asked if her child could play piano in marching band. Just scroll down a web page or Facebook feed and have a look at the ads. Things like only 2% can solve this puzzle, shit like that. Those ads get posted so much because they actually work on a lot of people. My fav, if those see what your fandom / whatever name is based on your date of birth / hometown / first and last letters of your mom's maiden name / etc. Things. Like you have a chart, and people post their results, and it's a goldmine for anyone looking for the answers to those pesky security questions. LMAO. There are still people who fall for if you post your password it comes up as asterisks. Watch. Asterisk. I'm an insurance claims adjuster. If you truly knew how many stupid drivers you're sharing the road with, you'd never drive again. Edit. Because I keep getting this question, I avoid driving whenever possible. I have a car, but I take the bus to / from work. I never drive at night. I work in highway safety, can confirm. I can no longer count on 2 hands the number of people I've stopped with in the middle lane of traffic on a freeway, with no bigger problem than a flat tire. When I question them as to why they stopped in the middle of a freeway, the typical answer is either the vehicle wouldn't go any further, or they don't want to damage their rim. I swear to whatever you want me to swear to, people will put the well-being of the rim on their car above their own safety and even the safety of their children. And the weird thing is, it makes perfect sense to them. In grade 10, we had a science test, and the teacher gave 1 point for putting a date on the paper, and 1 point for your name on the paper, and then there were 98 points for the rest of the test. A guy sitting in front of me got 0.5 / 100 did write the date and only wrote his first name. That's fucking hilarious. Reminds me of the time my classmate copied the test answers of my other smarter classmate in 2nd grade. He got caught because he copied the name too. 2nd grade. I saw that happen in high school. The next day the teacher was just savage, publicly calling it out. 30+ years later I still remember him starting out the class congratulating Todd on doing so well on the test, but next time, he didn't need to hand in 2 copies. Oh, and by the way, I didn't get anything handed in by Mike. Sorry Mike, you get a 0. In the 80s, A&W attempted to compete with McDonald's quarter-pounder burger by selling a third-pounder for the same price. The operation failed tremendously, with virtually no one buying the burger. When they surveyed customers for an explanation, the majority of customers responded that they didn't want to pay the same price for less meat. Their customers genuinely believed that 1/3 was less than 1/4 and refused to try the newer A&W burger because of it. Edit. Obligatory. Fuck everyone who says rip my inbox, I hate that shit. Sounds like they had beef with fractions. 4 out of every 3 people are bad at fractions. I used to work at a burger/Shake Shack type place. Oftentimes people would read the menu at all and just open with "I'd like a cheeseburger," and naturally we'd ask a quarter or 1/3 pound. The amount/variety of people who just said whichever's bigger/smaller astounded me. I've experienced something similar at the restaurant I work at. If someone orders a glass of wine, I ask, "Would you like a 6-ounce or 8-ounce glass?" And they say whichever is bigger. Like, I can understand maybe not knowing fractions, but you can't verbalize that 8 is bigger than 6.